Hey guys, good evening. I'm so glad you're here. This is Stan Malden. I'm one of the coaches at Do Deals. Glad to see you. Hey Adam, this is going to be a replay from last night. So go back to work, man. Go back and be productive. All right. Let me unmute you here. Hey Adam, you there? Adam, Adam, Gershom, Adam. Oh, no mic. Adam. Let's see. Bueller. Okay, let's go from there. So anyhow, we're glad you guys are here, and we're going to talk about some negotiating and some other fun things. So let's just start with the blanket. If you were here last night, then Julio, you've seen this, so go home. So go back and go to work, okay? So you can stay if you want to. It should be fun. Oh, very good. So anyhow, let's get going. So glad you're here. Let me just. Hey Gershom, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So what would happen if I muted everybody?
I don't know. Probably might create some noise.
Well, let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Joe, did you get your computer working better? See if Joe's go.
Hello.
Oh, Joe, you're there, man.
Hello.
So let's just go. Hello. Julio, don't say anything yet. We're just going to unmute everybody just because we can. And because the substitute's here and he can do whatever he wants to. Donna, you're unmuted now, I think. There we go. So Judy, I've got you as unmuted, but I can't make it unmute. So glad you guys are all here. Thank you so much for coming. Ron, how are you? Oh, there we go, Judy. Now you're unmuted. Ron, how are you?
Hey, Terry, how you doing?
I'm good. Hey, Joe, how are you doing?
Are you ready? Are you on this webinar?
Say it again, please.
Do deals?
Yes, sir. This is where this is from.
Yeah. And there's another one on Kenneth Clothier on at 8 o'clock, I think, tonight.
Okay. Well, I'll hurry.
8 o'clock Central. I don't know if it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, well, I'll hurry so we can get this all done. So let's get going. Earl, we saw this last night, so if you were here last night, most of this is going to be a replay from last night. So, anyhow, there's no need to be hanging out here. We'd love to have you here, but there's no need if you don't. You've got other things
It's
to do.
8 to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time today.
Okay. All right, good. All right, here we go, guys. Let's do a couple of quick things. Hey, did you know, Donna, are you there? Donna Soprowski?
Yes, I am.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
You know, I was in church on Sunday. I know don't like drop dead or anything, but I was in church on Sunday, and I'm trusting this information to be true because a Southern Baptist preacher gave it to me. All right. Now, if you trust a Southern Baptist pastor, then we're going to take this at face value. So, Donna, did you know that if we went backwards in time, and it helped me understand a little bit about our debt, but if we went back, you guys okay? So, if we went backwards in time, did you know, Donna, that 1,000,000 seconds backwards, you know about how many days is that?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. How many?
It's 12 days. So if we went backwards 1,000,000 seconds, that's 12 days ago.
Okay.
If we went backwards in time 1,000,000,000 seconds, about when would that be, do you think?
You know, okay,
And
I got to
anybody-
think here.
Most everybody's unmuted, so somebody pop in if
120.
you've got. And Julio, you can't pop in because you've seen it. Earl, you can't pop in either. So anybody else want to guess? 1,000,000,000 seconds. When was that?
120 days.
Okay. 1,000,000,000 seconds ago was about June 1978.
Oh, okay.
Does that give you an idea of when we spend $1,000,000,000, how much money that really is? Okay, now let's go back then 1,000,000,000,000 seconds. So I'm thinking, I'm sitting there in church, and and I'm a really good Southern Baptist on the very last pew, in the very last, the very last door coming in, and I'm sitting there going, okay, 1,000,000,000 seconds ago, well, if 1,000,000,000 seconds ago was 1978, then 1,000,000,000,000 is probably like maybe the Revolutionary War, maybe somewhere like in there. Yeah, a trillion seconds ago is 29,700 BC.
Oh my gosh.
So
wow.
think of how fast we're spending money.
Oh.
Put this in, does that put that into some kind of perspective on how
Oh
we're
my
country?
gosh.
And there was no sermon that went with this. He was just showing us these facts, or facts according to him, But anyhow, that's yeah. I was going like, wow, that's 29,000 years ago. Is a trillion seconds? I can't imagine what that looks like in dollars.
Whoa.
So we wonder then, Donna, you and I are doing those short sales, and we wonder how come the banks are so messed up.
Yes.
When you're losing trillions of dollars, then you can see now how come they're so disorganized, right?
Yeah.
So it's where we are in our country. We'll live through it. We'll work through it. It'll be great. All right, let's do a little bit of negotiating, and let's talk a little bit about who negotiates and why you negotiate and all that kind of stuff. And we did a little bit of this last night, touched on it some, and then we touched on some of the 5 things that we're all doing as investors. And let's just kind of think about these, and these are in no particular order. But think of this: we're always negotiating, always. And so, as long as we're talking to people, we're negotiating, and they're forming opinions of us. So you need to have your negotiating hat on all the time. So when you go to the Rotary Club and you're talking about your business, or you're talking about the country, or you're talking about your wife and kids, then you would want to be putting a good, clean face on all of that. So everything you do is negotiating. All right? Let's also understand that everything that you want is controlled by somebody else. So if you want money, then that's controlled by somebody else, and you have to negotiate your way to get that. If you want a new diamond necklace, or if you want the love of your life to give you roses, or whatever it is, then we need to negotiate through all of that. So let's do this. And what I'm doing now is I'm spending a ton of time learning about negotiating. Okay, so I want you guys to spend some time learning on how to get what you want. And if you guys have got some good answers to any of this, just pop in and say, here's how I get what I want, My wife would say, if you don't go to the movies, or if you don't do this or don't do that, or go to the movies, whatever it was, then I'll tell you, Stan, we will never have any more children. And it's like, wait a minute, now wait a minute, I don't know what that means. But when I was in my 30s, I knew what that meant. So now that I'm in my 50s, it doesn't matter. So, okay, yeah, okay. So what I want you to think about is can you spend a small amount of time every day, just try to think about what you want and try to learn how to. So find out how to get what you want, get what they want, so you get what you want. Now that would mean find out what the seller wants so you can get the flex option, so that you can then market it and then you can sell a house and make money. So if your goal is to make money, then we have to do that. We have to do that a different way. And honestly, my goal, and I don't think Tim's goal necessarily, is to be making just tons of money. We are trying to help people out of situations, and then once we do that,
in that one moment of time.
right? Yeah. I'm going to mute you there, Sharon. Okay, thank you.
Who's that?
That was Sharon. Okay, that's okay. So anyhow, yeah, this is the part where you guys are not used to being unmuted all the time. So I don't know what you guys are used to singing. I didn't know you were singing behind my back. I didn't know all that. So anyhow, find out what they want so you can get what you want. Find a solution, and it's a win-win solution. And something I've been doing the last 3 or 4 days on the Live Deals TV show is I'm not going to assume that price is the dominant issue. I don't assume that the seller wants what I want, or that they want a resolution to their issue the way that I would resolve it. And of course, the answer to all of this is person to person, okay? And listen to what the other person has to say. So if I were making notes of this page, the notes I would have would be, number 1 would be you're always negotiating. Number 2 is everything's controlled by someone else. And then find out what they want so that you can get what you want. There's number 3. And number 4 is don't assume that price is the dominant issue. Don't assume that money is the dominant issue, okay? I had a lady today, if you heard Live Deals TV, she has 9 condos for sale in Houston. She's extremely sick. Julio popped in today and said that he explained to me a little bit on Skype what this disease she had is. And he said, unfortunately, on the Skype, he says, unfortunately, it does not ever get better. So is her selling the 9 condos, is price her issue, or is it that she has great grandkids that she wants to see go to college? Or is it that she has grandkids that she wants to see that they make sure that they have some kind of a cushion in their life? And so what I had been doing on the Live Deals TV show is trying to get to the next call. And the last 2-3 days, I've really been spending my time and really trying to understand what these people have going on so that I can better assist them, and then, of course, then I can better I can better work my business. Everybody understand what I'm saying? So if I've got 3 or 4 of you unmuted, so Donna, you'll be my voice for the group, okay?
Okay.
There we go. So if you say yes, I understand. We're going to go on, okay?
Okay.
And the answer to all of this is the person. It's not the price of the house. It's not the house. It's not the location. It's the person you're dealing with. All right. It's nothing. It's not the real estate agent. It's the person and their particular issue or point in life where they need to sell their house. Okay?
Okay.
So there's 3 critical factors when you negotiate with people. Okay? You need to establish the criteria, find out what the other side wants. And what would that question be off of the seller questionnaire? Who knows what that question is? Anybody know? I've unmuted a bunch of you. So you guys, if you start to talk, most of you will be heard. What is that question on the seller questionnaire?
Why are you selling?
Why are you selling? Okay. I asked that to a lady today, this afternoon. She says, because I'm moving. Now, what's the next question?
Why are you moving?
Why are you moving? Absolutely. See, those are all defensive type answers. So why are you selling? Because I'm moving. Well, I mean, this is a great house. I don't see why you'd want to move with that. Well, my husband and my dad and I are moving. Okay, now what's your next question after that?
Where are you going to move?
Right,
where are you going to relocate?
Right, where are you going? Where are you looking after that? Okay, and then as you start to talk, then she starts to tell me that her mom just passed away, so her dad's moving in with them. They need more room. They had a 2-bedroom house. Now they need more rooms. Okay, so she's got 2 hard issues. Anybody know what they are? Judy, you're unmuted too.
Needs
You know
more
these.
space.
Space and time.
Right. She doesn't have. Your space and time, and what else? What are her emotional issues right now? Okay, let me say what she said again. My dad and my husband and I are moving to a larger home. Okay.
She has her dad living with her.
Okay. First off, her dad's moving in. That's an emotional issue, right? I mean, my mother-in-law lives about 4 blocks from me. I can't imagine her living in my house. It'd drive me insane.
Huh.
Judy, you'd have to meet my mother-in-law, okay? It's all right. No, I'm just, I'm like most of them. But my mother-in-law's 88, and she has some really special needs. You can't imagine moving in with an 88-year-old all of a sudden, and those special needs then go from being my mother-in-law. We have her over every night, and we go get her, and all that kind of stuff. So we have her over every night. She eats. We want to make sure she eats every night.
Yeah.
And you can imagine that we're going from not seeing her very much at all because she lived in Dallas, we lived in Houston, to now we're seeing her every night, to, can you imagine if she moved in and we had those special needs as well? That's difficult.
Yeah.
That's difficult. It's difficult for her and it's difficult for us. Okay, so that, I mean, those are the facts. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just those are the facts.
Yeah.
Okay, now what happened to this girl's mother? Where is this girl's mother? So we found out that her mother just passed away, and her mother was watching the father. So she's got some emotional things that she has to work out, and her house is, she's leaving a really nice house that she and her husband, you know, love to death, and it's right in the middle of town and all that. And now they're going to want to move out to the suburbs. Okay, so now we know all of that. Now we know a little bit more about what she has going on. Okay, try to get all of the information you can. And Tim is one of the best that I know at this. He's really thorough and he's very slow. But you just continue talking, continue probing, and after a while they start to trust you. And as my business has matured, I've gone from I need to make 50 phone calls today to I want to make 3 or 4 successful phone calls a day.
Yes.
Okay, do you guys hear what I just said? So on do deals, I try every day. I start out every day with about 25 or 30 phone numbers. I try to get 20 of them finished. Now, I've since gone to the idea that I don't want to get 20 phone calls finished as much as I want to try to help 3 or 4 people in that 1 hour time.
Yes.
So you see how that's changing? So now my whole mindset is changing, and I'm starting to go slower. I'm starting to think of more types of questions I can ask. I'm trying to understand their situation a little better. And then in the last about 3 weeks or so, we're doing about a flex option every 2 days, getting back a flex option every 2 days. Now that's real different, isn't it? For all of us, that's real different.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, for the apprentice students and for everybody that I know, you know, we've got a lot of flex options out, and getting them back is usually a trick.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've done, and you guys try this, what I've done is try to go slower, try to build a better rapport and a stronger trust with the people, and miraculously they're just showing up. I had another one faxed in today. So today's Tuesday. So between Friday and Tuesday, I've had 2 flex options returned. So in 3 days, I've had 2 returned.
Great.
So that's a pretty good batting average, right?
Yeah.
So just try to go slower, try to learn more about their situation, learn more about their life. I don't care about the price of the house. I don't care about any of that. Honestly, let's talk about how we can help you and how we can help you move on. So that's what I'm doing. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, is it mostly owner financing deals that you're finding?
No, these are wholesale deals.
Wholesale? Okay.
And one of them I sent a flex option last night. These guys are in the military. Just the numbers on the house, it's a $115,000 house. They owe $108 on it. So there's not a lot of room in that. And so what I told them was, let's do this. I'm going to send you our little agreement, which I did. I don't have it back yet, but I said, you know, if you want us to, I'll try to sell it. And we'll get to that in the next week or so. And I also understand that people are different. So some people, I jive with them. You know, I hit it off with them. And some people just cannot stand this slow Texan talking the way I talk. They just can't stand it. You know, they're from the Northeast. I know that I talked to a lady today, and she talked so fast I couldn't understand her. And I said, I'm really sorry. I'm from West Texas. Please slow down. And she didn't like that at all. She didn't think that was at all funny. And it's like, well, I was just trying to be funny, you know. Ron, I've got you unmuted as well. And Ron Nixon and I talk. Ron's from Chicago. And Ron talks just a wee bit quicker than I do. Now, Donna, you and I talk about the same speed, but you've got a little different dialect than I do. But Ron he talks way faster than I do. And he Skypes even faster than I do. I've got to say, Ron, Skype slower, you know, so I can understand him. So you guys all know this. Everybody's different, all right? All right, let me go on. All right, let's talk about the 5 stages of of a deal? Anybody know? Oh, I messed that up. Let me go to the 5 stages of a deal. And we know all this. We know all this. We know all this. We did 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 all this. There's a way to do this. Okay. Let's unmute some of you guys and tell us the 5 stages. Did you guys see them already? If you saw them, you cheated.
I saw the first 2 or so. You got to call
Okay.
for the flex option and get the flex option.
All right. So
Fine.
for us, there's 5 stages, and you can't see this, but I'm holding my hand out, starting on my little finger. My son's a pianist. Which finger is he going to start on? Anybody know? We don't have any piano players in the group, really?
No.
Oh my gosh. So for a piano player, your thumb is number 1.
Okay.
Okay, so he counts 1 with thumbs up. That's what he looks like. But I'm going to start on my little finger. So the first thing we've got to do is make calls and get a flex option, right? We've got to send those out. Okay, a lot of us are there. A lot of us can do that. If you can't make those phone calls and send out the flex options, then you got to go back to number 0 and make phone calls. And I will let you know that the Live Deals TV show has been a blessing for me, and everybody that I've talked to. Julio, it's been a blessing for you too, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, how come?
Well, anytime that our friends have some difficulty with the Spanish people, you forward to me. And for example, today in the morning, I talked to this guy, Jose. He has 2 properties, so I'm gonna talk to him tomorrow again, and he might be able to sell it like a owner finance it.
Right? Am I missing him or me?
Pardon me?
Oh, there you are. Okay, so it's been good for you, hasn't it?
Exactly.
Good. All right, so if you don't know how to make the phone calls, then there's the very best way I know for you to make the phone calls is to just sit down and say, I'm going to make 5 phone calls right now. And if you want one night, if you want me to sit with you and make those phone calls, then I'll put in a GoToMeeting and we can get on Skype together, and I'll just listen to you make phone calls. And then I'll say, hey, that was really good. Try this, try this, try this. Okay, make another one. Hey, that was better. Now try this, okay? I'll tell you that my oldest son, Matthew, is afraid of the telephone. And the way we got him better on the telephone is he had to order pizza for us. And for a while, that was a real tough thing for us, is for him to get on the phone and say, what is your special for tonight? When he called Papa John's. Because what he would do is say, I want a large pepperoni, and then leave it. And I said, no, Matt, you've got to ask a question. You have to ask him any question. I mean, ask him if he's got a girlfriend. Ask if it's a girl. Ask if they've got anything. Ask them any question. Okay, so we started there first, and then we went to, can you tell me what your specials are for tonight? Now, that sounds pretty lame, doesn't it? Because this kid is in Boston now studying music. He's got music played on BBC radio, and he was a DJ the other night in front of a couple thousand people, but he's afraid of the telephone. Okay, and we started him with, we started him with, what is your special for tonight? It's like, and we had to write it down for him. What is your special for tonight? And so, if you're afraid of the telephone, that's okay. I just know there's only one way to get unafraid of the telephone, and that's to use the telephone. And so, if you're afraid of the telephone, then Skype Amy or email Amy, and we'll set up a night where the 4 or 5 of us or 10 of us, we'll just get together, and I'll just listen to you make phone calls, and I'll make it as easy and as fun as we can. Okay? So that's the first place, is you've got to send those flex options back. Donna, you'll appreciate this. One of our apprentice students last night said that this person had over 200 flex options out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, now, where's the clog up in her system?
Gonna get it back.
Get them back, right? So now we've got the flex options back. Now we have them out. Now we have to get them back. That's a whole different set of skills that you have to have when you follow up with people and when you talk to people. I think that I believe it's stronger today than I did yesterday. I think if you do this correctly, call correctly, this becomes easier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if you show empathy, if you show concern, if you show that you're the least bit interested in somebody, then they trust you, and that flex option comes back way quicker.
Hmm.
When it becomes not about the house or not about I need to get paid or any of that, it's about I really just want to help you out, then I think the returns come way quicker. Okay? And I didn't know that until I did Live Deals TV. I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know that until Tim said you need to quit worrying about the house. Quit talking about the numbers. The numbers don't matter. Okay?
Hey, Stan.
Hey, Fiona, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really liking your session, thanks. I was just reading an email I got from a property guru in Australia, Rick Otten, and he's got this real aggressive kind of approach, and this other fellow was really aggressive. So there seems to be these alpha male type traders out there who have this kind of edgy, maybe even bullying tactic. So this is, I think, quite an antidote to that too. You know, in terms of the good cop, bad cop, I prefer being the good cop about it.
Well,
so
you know
I'm really...
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so yeah, I really appreciate it. It fits with me a whole lot better. And I'm going to mute myself because I guess there's a lot of noise.
So thanks, Fiona. You know, I mean, you have to understand understand Tim a little bit and understand how I grew up. I was not the testosterone-driven football player. All right, I mean, I'm a musician, okay, and I'm real proud of it. I'm an artsy-fartsy kind of person. I did play football. I did make the all-star team, you know, and I did all that, okay, but it was not my thing. And so you get those guys out there that are so busy beating their chest that they're going for the next deal. I'm not into that. Honestly, I'm just not. And what I'm trying to do is help more people. And if we can do that, then that's what's going to make it right for me. And honestly, if I make a little less money, I'm okay with that. I'm not really too worried about it. And somebody else may be going, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? We're in this to make money. Yes, we are. But my number one deal is just a little different, okay? So I really believe if you can get the call worked out, instead of beating them up on the price and making them feel like they're doing you a favor by sending that flex option back, try to flip that around the other way. And the lady from Alvin, I've talked to her 3 times now, and I got her flex option back. I got an email to me yesterday, and she said, thank you so much for helping me out. Well, I'm going to help her out. I'm going to make some money on the deal, you know, but in her mind, and in my mind too, we're really working very hard to help her through her situation. And her situation is she has a special needs child. She needs to find more space, and it can't be in Harris County, Texas, because their infrastructure for special needs people is not very large. So she needs for it to be in a different county. So we're going to find her another house, and we're going to sell her house. And I have no doubt of that. And so that's just what we're doing, okay? Okay. Now, once you get the flex option back, then you've got to market the property. So some of you guys, most of you again are unmuted, I think. Where do you market the property? Everybody knows. What do you do first? Where does it go?
You put bandit signs, you go online, different websites.
Right. So online would be Craigslist, Backpage, Postlets, for sale by owner, My House Deals, Do Deals, Rehab List. Let's see, Military by Owner. There's another one, if you guys don't know that one, Military by Owner. If you're in one of these places that's got a military base close, you can put them online at any of the universities' newspapers or any of that kind of thing. online for blogs. You can put them on Ustream. You can put them on YouTube. Jeff Quigg, by the way, last night, Jeff is one of our investors that lives in Branson, Missouri, and he sold 2 houses last week. And we were all like, gee, Jeff, how did you do that? And he said he took his flip cam out and took a video of it and just walked through the house and said, here's the living room, here's the fireplace, oh, there's the stove. A pretty junior high version, you know, it's pretty amateurish version of that. And then he put it on Craigslist. And he said the people went nuts over it because people would way rather see a movie than they would see still pictures. So there's another good hint for you. Okay, people want to see movies. They don't want to see pictures anymore. Our minds and our lives move too fast. So we're used to seeing movies. So there's another good marketing opportunity. Okay, so let me say that again. He did it on, he used his flip cam, and I've got a Kodak one of those. You can get them down at Walmart. They're about $100. Okay? All right, so you market the property. You put out bandit signs, flyers. Let's see, what else? You put out sandwich signs. You guys have seen those sandwich boards where somebody puts a sign on their back. You guys have seen those boards, you know? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah, before your time. I mean, you can get it tattooed on somebody, whatever. Just market the property, okay? If you're a boxer, you know you've got a saloon tattooed to your back. So you want to market the property. Okay, what comes after marketing the property? What comes next?
You find a buyer and close the deal.
Okay, you show it and sell it. So we showed a house today. Let's see, we showed one on Sunday, and I got an application. We're working out the contract tonight. I showed one today. We got an application. We're working out the contract in the morning. Okay, and then we worked out another contract today. So we sold 3 houses in the last 4 days.
Wow.
You show it and sell it. Okay, how do you show it? Well, you want it to be clean. It would be, if it's staged, it's better. It doesn't have to be staged with sofas and, you know, and giant stuffed animals, but it would have to be clean, and put some candles out, and, you know, put a welcome mat on the front door and some towels in the bathroom, that kind of thing. So that's how you show it a little better, and then do the contracts. It's real simple. Okay, and what's the last thing that you have to do?
And you after you close the deal and get your money.
Right, then you close it, then we should just type in part. Whoa, uh-oh. Then you type in party here, right? Close/party. Oh. Sorry, I can't spell. All right, now let's think about where we are, and we spent a little time last night with the apprentice group. Where are you on this list? Out of this list, so where are you on that list? And this is a test. It's a maturity test, and I think as you go further down the list, it shows that you've matured a little bit, and your business is starting to reach maturation. Okay, so let's say that I'm having a hard time making phone calls. All right, then you need to tell me you're having a hard time making phone calls, and honestly, I'll help you. We'll schedule a time, and it'll be in the evening, and I'll go one-on-one, or I can schedule it during the day, and I will help you make phone calls. All right? If you're sending out the flex, but you're not getting them back, then let's think about what you're saying and how you're saying it. Let's think about your follow-up. Okay? If you're getting some flex options back, and then you're marketing the property, then let's look at the marketing and see what's making your phone ring, or making your phone not ring, just whichever one. And then as you're showing and selling, it'd be really good if you had some pictures you could show us, and we could say, oh, okay, well, the reason this is not showing real well is because it's got a giant hole in the wall. Maybe if we patch that wall, or it's dirty. You'd be surprised how many people are trying to sell houses that are filthy, or the carpets. I mean, we're trying to show houses that have holes in the carpet. So those don't show very well. Okay, and then comes all the closing issues that we all have. And that little $5,000 house we were talking about, it's got 4 little liens on it now. So as you start to close this, we'll have to clean up some of the messes some of these people have made before. Okay? Most of our students, all of our students are stuck right here. They're stuck in these 2 boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't get past these two boxes, you can't do this, and that, folks, is where you get paid.
Yeah.
Okay? If we got paid for getting flex options back, or if we even better, if we got paid for getting flex options out, sending them out, most of us would be millionaires. But we don't. We don't get paid till it closes. So what we need to do then is I want you just to sit down and think. Let's think about how we can get past these two stages and concentrate on getting this, return the flex, so that you can get on the market the property. Okay? And I'll tell you one other small thing about this, and then we'll do some questions and talk a little bit. As we were talking last night, let's prioritize, and let's think about this. This person has 200 flex options out. This person has a property that's supposed to close on Thursday. There's another property that I showed today and got a contract on. There's two other properties that we're marketing for them, and there are 4 flex options that have been returned. Okay, so let's write this down. Let me just write this down. There's 200 out, right? We have 4 back. We have 2 there. We have 1 we're showing and 1 that's closing. So I asked then, what do you want to concentrate on next week? Anybody know?
Getting more of the flex options returned.
Okay. Anybody else? Good.
More flex options.
Okay. Who else? If you have the answer, let me see if you're in your question box. You may be muted. Okay. Ron's got the answer. Right.
Building rapport.
Okay. Good.
Calls.
Here's what I told her to concentrate on. Let me. I said, here's where we are. Let me ask you guys I'll ask you guys some questions. How many of you would rather have in your hand $5,000 or nothing? Right? So all of us would say, I'd rather have the money in my hand than the nothing, right? I'd rather have the money.
Right.
So then, if we're in that position where I need to get paid, then I need to concentrate on what?
On closing the deal.
I need to close that deal right there. Okay? Now, this particular deal, this one we're showing today, that's a $10,000 payday. So what else do we need to concentrate on next? Getting that one sold so we can get it closed. Okay? Then what do we need to do? We need to concentrate on these two, and we need to get them down here. And let's take these 4 and move them down a box. And then, if we have time, let's try to take those 200 and maybe move 1 or 2 of them down a box. You understand why?
Yeah, to get the money.
You have to get paid. Unless Sears is going to let us have that big screen TV for free, you got to get paid. Okay? Unless I can go to the grocery store, because they've seen me and they think I'm cute and everything, but they don't give it to me for free. So we have to get paid. All right? Now, this is where we are in our businesses. This is where all of us are. This is where I am. And I'll show you my goal sheet for the week. Okay? This is where I am too. These two are pretty easy for me. They're really easy for me. That's really easy for me. That's really easy for me. I just go out there and stand around and shoot the bull with them. This is a challenge for me. That's a challenge. Okay, the closing part of that is a challenge because there's usually liens, there's usually some issue with the property. So we've got to work through all of those. Okay, so it's just a point of maturity in your business. You want to keep working everything that way. So if this 200 turns into 2, that's okay. Everybody get it? So if you're in If you're in this part of your business, then what do you need to concentrate on next?
Getting them back so you can get them closed.
Right. So if I'm sending out flexes, but they're not coming back, then I want you to concentrate on nothing but getting these flexes back. Don't mess with this anymore. You've got that going. Go to this. Fix this. If I'm getting them back and I'm not getting them marketed very well, then don't do anything but market for the next couple of days. If I'm marketing real well, but my phone's not ringing, then we got to go back and look at this and figure out why your phone isn't ringing. If I'm showing them to people and they don't like it, or they don't like the neighborhood, or they don't like the house, then let's get some pictures of your house and we'll figure out why they don't like those. Okay? But you always want to have downward pressure. You always want to work down pressure. Okay? So and then think of that then. So if I'm pushing downward, which part of this is going to take the most effort? The top of the push or the bottom of the push? We all know the answer. It's the bottom of the push. So if you're at the top, think for the next level. If you're in the next level, think your way down. You must close houses. If you don't close houses, you will become an employee again. Everybody understand what I just said? Yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line. I had a student about a year ago, and she was saying, boy, she just really needed to close. She really needed to close. And I said, you're about 10 days away from a decision. And she's like, no, I'm not, I don't need to make a decision. It's no, in 10 days, if your bills are the way you're telling me they are, you will become an employee or you will become an entrepreneur. So you've got to close something quickly. And she closed something really quickly, and now she's just beating them up out there. She's doing really well. All right, so a lot of us are in that same position. We're a few days away from standing at Target saying, or standing at Walmart saying, welcome to Walmart. So we don't want to be employees, so let's figure this out. So anybody have questions about that or comments about it, either raise your hand or, because I'll be glad to work those and talk about those. Questions?
I have a question, Stan. How long do you keep trying on a certain property? You know, if you're not having success selling it and you adjust the price and you do different things, how long do you spend before you just move on and give up on that particular house?
I don't worry about them, and I don't know. You know, if I only had one house, I would probably sweat it a lot. Let's just go back to Naomi's house, and I've got a lady in Austin. Let me talk about her too. Naomi's house started at 13. I would put them in my tickler system and follow up with them every week, and I would talk to them and say, okay, your house is it's filthy. We can show your house, but as long as it's as dirty as it is, we're not going to sell it. So could you then clean it up? Or the house is overpriced, or the house is whatever. But I don't spend just a whole lot of time worrying about them, because I've got enough that I just keep pushing the ones. I keep, it's a juggling act. I just keep juggling the ones that want to stay in the air. That makes sense? And Donna,
Yeah.
you and I've done some things together, and you've, it's like this short sale with this realtor, and I'm going, I don't know that that's going to work out. So
Right.
where do you push and where do you go? Well, it's not going to work out. Let's just go to the next one. So
Right.
you've got to.
There was one house I spent a lot of time probably showing it, and then I never did end up finding a buyer for it. But then you get frustrated that you spent so much time, so you want to keep trying to find a buyer. So that's why I was asking that question. At what point do you just, we changed the price, we did, how, you don't want to, but then you get like on a mission to find a buyer because you spent so much time on it. You hate to give up, but I never did on this one particular house find anybody. So it was, bad neighborhood, and it was 4 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, and it's really hard. Everybody wants 2 baths. There were a lot of things negative about it, so
Okay,
I finally gave up, because I spent too much time,
Right. So let's figure it out then. Let's say that that's your only deal. Okay, if that is your only deal, then you just hang on to it because it's the only thing you got. You know, I mean, what else are you going to be doing? So you might as well work through that and keep working the price. Again, we've talked to everybody. I think we've told you guys that the old real estate axiom was location, location, location. And now what it is in real estate is price, price, price. So you have a 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath that has some small issues with it. A small issue may be the master bathroom doesn't have a bathtub. It's got a shower. Well, that's what they built here in the 80s. That's what they built in Houston. And so what do? Well, your choices are we can either remodel or what?
Lower the price.
Lower the price. And I've lowered the price as far as I can lower the price. Well, I've come out here 24 times, and every person that we have out there says the exact same thing. If it had a big jacuzzi tub in it, I'd buy it at that price. So then you personally have to make a decision.
Right.
Okay? So what I like to do is have a little more going on than that, so that one particular deal is not controlling my life. And as you guys all know, that gets frustrating real fast, you know, and as soon as you get frustrated, then it's really everything else in my life gets screwed up when I get frustrated. And so I don't know that I'm real different than anybody else. I know that when I get frustrated with a house or two, I know my wife and I don't get along as well as we used to, and you know, my son and I don't get along as well, and so I try really hard not to get there. And I'll just be straight up with you guys. I was there a couple of weeks ago, and more worried about closing a house than just having a good time with my wife and kids. And so you got to be real careful with that.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Who else has a question? If you have a question, pop it in. Or Ron says, how many times do you follow up to get a flex option returned if you never get through to that person and just keep getting your voicemail? Ron, what I would do with them is I would call them at really early in the morning, like 6:30 or 7, or maybe right at 10 o'clock at night, and see if they'll pick up. If they don't pick up, then if it's a local thing, I'd probably go by their house and just knock on their door. We had one of our students, Kevin Celestine and Donald. You guys know Donald, don't you? Donna, don't you know Donald? Julio, you know Donald, don't you?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, Donald is our student that had a stroke a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Amazing guy.
So he was over at my house today, and Kevin was here today. We're working on some short sales, and Kevin's asking that same thing. It's like, well, I don't know what to do next. I've called and I've called and I've called. It's like, Kevin, let's do this. Next week, about Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to let it warm up a little bit, but he and I are just going to go out and knock on doors. And let's just go knock on some doors and see what happens. It's like, really? And we're going to get shot. It's like, no, we won't get shot. Come on, it'll be fun. So that's the same thing I would do if you're trying to follow up with somebody and they just won't return the call, show up around supper time and go knock on their door. I mean, if it's that important to you, go get it. You know, if you can get that flex option back and get it worked out if they see you. Again, the reason they don't call you back is not because they don't want to sell their house. It's because they don't trust what you're doing. And think of it, Ron, by the time you've called them, let's see, I've called them from Live Deals TV, and Julio's called them from his Live Deals TV, and Callie's called them from her Live Deals TV, and then Colleen's called them because she calls everybody on the list. I mean, she does, it's the truth. And then Donald's called them, and Willie's called them. They've been called 6 or 7 times by all of us asking the exact same questions. And if you've watched Live Deals TV, I've started changing the questions just because we're all saying the exact same thing. So we all say what first? I'm calling about the house you have for sale. Is it still available? We all say those exact same words. So I've been changing that just so I won't sound like everybody else that's been calling. You know, so they just don't trust what we're doing. You need to go by and knock on their door, or you need to get to know them a little better or something. Okay? And Ron's saying, concentrate on this list in reverse order. So, and that's true, Ron. So what Ron is saying is, don't concentrate up here, concentrate down here, and we're going to work your way this way. Okay? All right. So That's exactly right. Okay, who else has questions? Oh, let me ask it. RC, let me unmute you, okay?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Stan. How about you?
I am super, man. I'm not Superman. I am super, comma, man. I've been Skyping with Judy. Now, Judy, you're a treasure. I mean, I love you to death. Judy wrote this. Suzette, in parentheses, a woman, parentheses, and I was going, well, I didn't know too many men called Suzette. I mean, I am a musician, so I do know a few men that would be called Suzette, but not too many, okay? So anyhow, go ahead, RC. My bad.
One question about something you mentioned earlier in the session today. When you're revising the price on a flex option you already written, do you have to write a new flex option? You know, you were referring to an example where the price was unrealistic and they have to revise it down.
If you're one of those engineering types, and
Yes, I am.
Yes, yeah, I'm an artsy-fartsy type, you know, and it's like, hey, Naomi, this isn't working out. How about it? She tells me, and then you probably, to be legal, should X out the 13 and put an 11 there and fax it to her and get her to initial it and you know, take the paperwork seriously.
So we do have to have that flex option updated, right?
The key word is have to. Do we have to do it that way?
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, I'm going to close this house tomorrow, and I've not updated my flex option.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. If you're closing tomorrow, no need to.
You know, but I guess if she was mad at me, I'd probably want to be sure I had it all in writing.
I see.
So my wife, who's also the bookkeeper of the family, would say you have to have all this paperwork in order. And I'm kind of more of a big picture guy, and I like, you know, going from place to place and subject to subject and kind of flitting around, that kind of thing. I'd be going, oh, don't worry about it, we'll clean it up later.
I see.
So my wife would be sure that she had all of that paperwork together, and she would probably be chasing right after me, just like they do in the rodeo parade. RC, do you guys have a rodeo parade?
Yep.
Well, see, I would be the horses in the rodeo parade, and my wife would be the people that were following the horses with the shovels, cleaning up my mess. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Hey,
so
Stan.
Hey.
Can I talk about a deal when you guys are finished?
Yeah, we're finished.
Okay.
I have another question, Stan.
Okay, well, you guys arm wrestle. Let's see who's going to go
Go
next.
for it.
I'll wait. No problem.
Okay. I had an investor in Auckland, which is about 500 miles from here, phone about selling what we call a flat, what you would call a condo, in a place called One Tree Hill, which is a very nice area. And so I sent him a flex option. The rateable value's 240. He got a registered valuation last year in the heat of the recession for 265, because it is a good area. And I did a data search and found there's at least 5 other apartments, condominiums for sale in the 250s, 260s. 2 in the block in front of him and 1 across the road. So I thought, well, you know, 220, I'd offer him 220 and try and sell it at full retail. Then a week later I saw that one had sold in his block for 235. So I went back to him and said, 220 is too high, you need to drop. And he'd wanted 240, 235, but he's agreed to 215. I've had over 1,500 hits on the ad that I put online. I've had about a dozen people reply. One person wants to go through. I've sent him a sale and purchase agreement with an out clause for me because it is 500 miles away and I'm going to assign it to another investor up there, but now he's not returning my phone calls, and I sent him an email with the sale and purchase on Friday. I followed up with a note on Saturday. Today's, Wednesday here. So he's gone real quiet. So I got that price down. I got to 215. I told him that people were looking interested. There'd been a lot of queries. The place looked a bit tired and shabby, and I had to ask him about the body corp and all that. But he's just disappeared. So he said he wanted to sell. He's going to Australia. And so the flex option's signed. I've done everything I said I'd do, and now I'm just kind of left that he won't answer my email. So I thought, well, look, I'll phone him this afternoon, and if he doesn't return my phone, I'm just going to send him a "you're fired" text or a "you're fired" email. What do you reckon?
Okay, so let's kind of figure this out. Those of you who are unmuted, you guys help me out with this answer. Okay, I've been talking to this girl when I was in high school, and she talked to me all the time, and we sat next to each other in these desks, and I pulled her hair and all that stuff, and she really liked me. But then one day she quit talking to me, and she never talked to me again. What's that mean?
She was mad at you.
Yeah, for some reason, something happened, I did something, and or something happened in her life, and we're not dating anymore, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way human nature is. That's the way people are, and I've always wondered why, as people, when people quit calling us or quit contacting us, it really pisses me off, because I spent time on it, I worked on it. It's like, just have the courtesy to call me and say that you don't want me to be around anymore. That's okay. I can handle that.
Yeah.
Here's what I would do, Fiona. You have an investor there in town.
Yeah.
That's going to work with you.
Yeah.
I'd go knock on that guy's door.
Right.
And he may be in Australia, or he may be, out fishing or lapping sharks or whatever he's doing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
we don't know what he's doing. He may be sick. He may be, there may be something in the family. So I personally am not a big fan of the you're fired kind of an email or a letter, because I don't know what his situation is.
Right.
And I'm not a big fan of cutting that string, because he eventually will get back in the same position, and I know when he does, he's going to call me, and I'll be the guy to get him out of it.
Okay.
So that's what I would do is call your friend that's there and say, listen, would you just go check on the guy? And I would have him check and say these words: hey, we've been trying to get a hold of you. I just wanted to make sure you're okay. I mean, I thought you might have been sick, or you could have been on vacation. I mean, I just want to make sure everything's all good in your life.
Yeah.
And then if he says, yes, I found another buyer, then you know. If he
That's
says,
right.
well, I've been sick and I had a heart attack, then you know that he's not
Yeah.
blowing out.
Yeah.
Okay, but mostly we all know this, that when people are talking, they stop, something happened.
Yeah.
Now
Okay.
let's find out what the something is. Is it something that I did? And is the pushing that I'm doing, trying to get him to respond, is that helping or hurting?
Yeah.
So if you've got somebody there in town, I just have him go knock on the door and just check on him. I just want to make sure you didn't spontaneously combust as you're watching Leave It to Beaver. And you're just sitting there at the door. So I just want to make sure you're okay.
That's good.
No, I mean that's really weird that my mind works like that. So it's not good.
I think it's great. I think
Probably
it's
sick.
great. I'm
Yes.
a fan.
So have
I'm a
your guy go do that. Say, listen, I thought you may have spontaneously combusted. So I
Yes,
just want to
exactly.
make sure you're
And I want to know, because
because
you'll be the first case in living history to blow the myth on that one, and I want to be there. Hey, thanks, Dan. That's real cool.
Yeah, thanks.
I've got to stop being such a Kiwi, Xena warrior princess and picking up my sword, I'll pick up the flower power. That's cool. Thank you so much.
Well, so just so you know that, Ron, you'll like this because you're a Chicago person. I did see Xena the Princess Warrior since you Fiona, since you brought that up, Xena the Princess Warrior.
Yeah, she's a good Kiwi girl.
Yes, but this was the cross-dressing version of that in Chicago, and it was extremely different, okay?
Extremely scary.
Uh-huh. Well, it was a little
Oh,
different
wow.
than what you're talking about.
Great.
Okay,
Thanks,
so
Dan.
I think that'd be fun. And see, that's stuff my mother would do. My mother would say, that guy's mad at you. Go over there and shake his hand and make him talk to you. So that's
Yeah,
the stuff I would do. I would go grab his hand and go, hey, how you doing? And make him say hello to me. So that's what I do.
That's right. No, okay, I'll put my little sharp fish gutting knife away and try that.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, KC. RC. Go ahead, RC.
Okay, Stan. I've been working on a deal. Like you said, I have been patient, even though I need a deal badly. So I talked to the seller on the 11th of February, and he lives in New Jersey, and we moved out of Memphis. And I know his house is vacant, and he has put it up for rent, and he's making his mortgage payments on it. And he took my flex option, and he said he would think about it and call me. So yesterday he called me back, and like you said, patience has paid off here, even though I was impatient, in disguise, I should say. Yesterday when he called me back, he said he wanted to know, he's got a buyer for a lease option. That's what he didn't want to do owner financing. I sent him an email of his two options, owner financing and lease option. So he's leaning more towards lease option. I don't know why. So I didn't press him on owner financing. He wants to know, he's got a buyer, and he would like to know how I can help him and what would my charges be. And I was reluctant to give him an answer at the time. I just wanted to find out how I can monetize this lead as best as I can. So I told him I'll call him back tomorrow, and this was yesterday. So here are my questions, just as a preparation to how to handle this when I talk to him tomorrow. I looked at these property values. He's asking $170,000, and Due Deal's value estimates it as $148,000. And the Shelby County, that's Memphis, it's pretty accurate. The tax assessed value is $169,000. So do I need to ignore that $169,000 value?
Well, what's he asking for it?
He's asking $169,000 to $170,000, but Due Deal's value is $148,000.
And
So I don't know how he got that number, $169,000. I'm assuming from the tax assessed value.
Probably from the tax value. So does he have a buyer at 169 or a lease person, a leasee?
I didn't ask him the details. He said he's got one lease option buyer, and he wants me to help him with the paperwork. But what I was leaning towards is to let him give me his flex option, let me do the marketing, and I will work with his buyer as well as try to get more buyers. I cautioned him not to depend on just one buyer, thinking he's the one who's going to close the deal. He may or may not.
Right. So can I make a long story, and then you'll figure it out?
Yeah. What should I charge him for the services?
Okay. Here's what I did over the weekend. Julio, this is your girl. I believe this is your girl Kim. The
Escrow, the escrow officer.
Wait a minute. It may be. I don't remember. It's one of our students that lives out of town. We're trying to get her to do owner financing. I met with her at a Starbucks. She is extremely pregnant, and her husband is really concerned about the owner financing part of this, and he's worried about the due on sale clause. And so what they decided to do is they would rather lease than owner finance. Kind of your same scenario, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now their question was, how can Stan help them lease their house? And what I said to them is, I've got your key, I've got it on a lockbox. You just don't worry about anything. You just sit back and let that baby grow, and we're going to lease that house for you. And she said, okay, what are you going to charge me? And I said, we won't charge you anything. What do you need from the house? I want $1,000 down. Okay, what is the rent? $1,200. Okay, so how about then whatever I get above $1,000, I get to keep. How's that? She said, wonderful. Okay, so we're going to lease this house this weekend because it's a nice place. Now, how much am I going to charge? What do you think would be an appropriate number? RC, what would be appropriate?
I don't know. 2,000, 3,000.
Well, let's put it in rental terms. So you can't call it down payment because it's not that. You could call it deposit, but then you got to give it back later. So what can we call that?
As your fee.
Okay, we can call it a rental fee. We can call it first and last month's rent. We can call it a lot of things, right?
Okay.
Right. So now, what would be an appropriate number? So let's say they make first and last month's rent. That's $2,400.
Right.
I'd make 14 on it. Is that an okay number for a day's worth of work?
Yes.
Okay. If I said, okay, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to collect first month's rent plus a $200, I don't know, some kind of a, come on, you guys help me out, application fee. Application fee is $200 and it's first month's rent. I would make it $400. See how I did that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now is $400 worth a couple hours of my time?
Yes.
So just decide then. That's what we're going to do this weekend. Is on Thursday we're going to decide. Okay, this house we're going to lease it, and we're going to try to get what? I think we're going to try to get $1,500. So we'll make $500. But our goal is to do a house a week. So I mean that's a goal for our group, and so this is just one of those houses. So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how much is the rent on the house?
Well, this is a lease option he wants to do. He's wanting 1,300 rent.
Okay, and so at 1,300, then if you charged 1,500, you'd make $200. Is that
Okay.
worth doing? Is that worth doing the deal?
For me, anything is better, but that's a little too below what I was targeting.
Okay. Now think about what you just said. For me, I'll tell you, for me, money's money, and if I can just fill out some paperwork in about 45 or 50 minutes and get them to sign off on it, and they paid me $200, $300, $400, and that's money.
I see. Well,
Okay.
this was going to be a lease option, so the new buyer is going to make a down payment.
Okay. And then so what's the down payment going to be?
That was my question. What should I wanted to charge him the down payment.
Okay. So then, how do you guys find that? Anybody know? How would you find the down payment?
Is it a percent of the asking price?
Well, let's think of this. It's a $165,000, $170,000 house, right?
Right.
Okay. How much money would a person who is looking for $170,000? How much money would they have to put down?
17,000.
How much? Judy, how much? What do you think?
At least 5,000.
Okay. Let's say we have 17,000, 5,000, 10%. Let's do this. Ask this question, RC. How much down do you want? And that's what they're going to ask you, right? How much down do you want? What's
Okay.
the next question you ask back?
How much?
You're talking about asking the buyer?
Yeah. Let's,
We'll ask him how much how much down payment he's got to.
okay, good. So when they come in, they're looking at the house. They've got a really uneasy feeling about it. They don't know that you've got an uneasy feeling about it too. They don't know that because they think you're in charge and you're the main
Right.
man, and they think you have all the answers. When really sometimes we're just flying by the seat of our pants on some of these. So
Right.
let's say for fun it's a $170,000 house, and if you say to them, you look at them and they say, well, how much down do you want? I want 20%. I want $34,000. What are they going to probably say to you?
Lease option, that's unrealistic.
Right. Let's go back to this. Let me go back to this one. Let's see. Okay. So this would be this question. There are predictable responses, and that's a predictable response, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you predict. You're now predicting Okay, I want 10%, $17,000. Predict how many people would walk in and say, oh, okay, I'll give you that. Not too many, not as many.
Right.
Okay, if you said, we're trying to get $5,000 down, but what do you have? Would that be an okay way to work that? So, how much is the down payment? Well, we'd like to get, we'd like to get 5, but that's a negotiable number. How much do you have? Or even don't even give them that much. How much down do you want? Well, do you like the house? I mean, we'd like to work with you. We want to work with you, and if you like the house, so let's talk. Okay, I like the house a whole lot. Okay, and if I were to tell you then that we could work out a deal right now, how much could you put down?
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm negotiating without answering any of their questions. I'm asking, when they ask me a question, I ask them a question back.
Okay.
See what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to determine their responses before I ask the question. And if you can get them in the mindset of always saying yes, so how much do you want down for the house? Well, do you guys like the house? Oh yeah, we like the house. Okay, do you think you could get all your furniture in here? Yeah, we think we can get our furniture in here. And the kitchen, you like the color of the walls and the cabinets? Yeah, we like that. So see, you've got them saying yes now. And if you think we can get the down payment in a way where you could afford that, then do you think you could do a deal with us today? See how I moved them to that area?
Yeah. Yeah.
So does the amount down really matter? I mean, yes, it matters to us, but is it the most important thing?
As long as it's not if it's not a deal killer.
Okay, so would you rather have a deal with less down or no deal?
Less down is okay, but there's a minimum that I have.
And so what is your minimum?
I want at least $3,000.
Okay, so what if I came in and I had $2,950?
Oh, that's okay.
Well, wait a minute. You just told me you wanted $3,000.
Well, I had to have some kind of way to proceed forward, and then I can adjust up or down based on what the reality is.
Okay, so I have $2,780.
Yeah, that's still okay.
$2,700.
I would say it's still better than nothing.
$2,500.
I would still say okay.
Okay, what am I doing with you?
Well, you're determining the low value that I will live with.
Right.
Negotiating.
Yeah, I'm negotiating with you. Okay, so that's just play with them. Just have fun with it, and I know that we all need to get paid. I all know that money is the driving force in the world, but I just like having fun with it. So this guy came today. He said, "What's your down?" I said, "What can you afford?" What did he say? Do you know? Have any idea? It's a $120,000 house, $130,000 or something like that. So how much would you? What do you need to have down? I said, "Well, what can you put down? What do you think you got?" What do you think you said, RC?
Well, it depends on what kind of answer they give. We take the answers they give and then kind of pick the ones that who can pay the maximum down payment.
Right. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to this statement that everything's predictable. Right? Predictable response. You with me on this?
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at a person that drives he came in and he's wearing blue jeans and his kids are not, really well dressed. They're not poorly dressed. He's got a Tahoe that's probably 5 or 6 years old. And I said to him, how much down do you want? Well, how much do you have? Okay. I was expecting to say about how much. What do you think? About how much?
Well, they'll usually lowball it.
Right. So give me a number. What do you think?
2,000.
Okay. I was expecting 2,000 to 5,000. That's a good number. And he came in and he said, "Well, I was planning on putting 20,000 down."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
And then I said, well, here's the application. Let's go.
Huh.
See, he blew me right out of the water, right? I was not predicting that. Well,
Yeah.
then I thought, well, if I settle for 20, maybe I can get 25 out of him. I don't know. You know? So now what we're doing is now I know he's got a down payment. Now we're negotiating the terms. So now we know he has cash, but he wants to do the owner financing for more than 3 or 4 years. Okay? And this is a subject to house, and I own it. So guess what I'm going to do? What do you think, RC?
I'm not sure.
I'm going to take those terms, man. We're making $200 or $300 a month on it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Pay it out all you want. Just let's go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Got you. Yeah.
So sometimes they shock you. You know, I'm looking at him going, oh, this guy's got 3,000 or 4,000 down. It's not, you know, we'll try to work this out. How much do you have down? Oh, I was kind of planning on putting 20,000 down. Oh.
Wow, that's a problem I can handle.
Yeah, he got my attention real fast, right? This is one of Colleen's. You guys know Colleen Doran? She's a super lady up in Minnesota. And she got this house subject to, and I'm going to end up putting my money in it. And so we're doing the subject to part. So I will own the house. She got the house for $95,000, and I'm going to give the guy $9,000. So we're at $104,000. Everybody see the numbers so far? The retail value on it's $156,000. So we're going to sell it for $135,000, and he's getting a bargain at $135,000. And we still have a lot of money to play with.
Right.
See how good that turned out?
At least $30, 30,000.
Right. And so Colleen's going to get her money out of the 20 up front, and then I'll deal with the monthly and fool with him, and I'll cash out at some point. If she gets paid quite a bit, eventually I'll get paid quite a bit. It's going to be a fun house.
Okay.
So yes, they do happen like this. Okay.
Okay. If this deal goes through, Stan, I have never done a lease option in actual paperwork. I know how it works conceptually, but I have not actually written down the paperwork. I'll call the hotline. Could you give me some assistance if it goes through? This guy is really motivated. He's out of town. His house is vacant. He's making payments on it.
Absolutely. Be glad to do that.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Okay, who else has got some questions, some good questions? Let's see, I've got a good question here. Where am I? Okay, Kelly. Come on, Kelly's. Let's see, who's answering this? Oh, it's Kelly. It's Mike. I'm sorry, Mike. Let me find you. I'll unmute you. Hey, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Stan. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great. I'm in my family room, so I apologize in advance if there's some other ambient noise.
It's all good. Ambient is good. So you have a question. You have a good question. I called it a home.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what paperwork to use. I called on a home out of state that looked like a great buy, and found out that it's actually owned or under contract by another investor who has an option to buy it from a church, and has a great price on it, and cannot find a cash buyer for it. The price seemed reasonable, and I thought that since I know some cash buyers in the area, that I could market it myself. But the sequence of paperwork from him to me seemed a little confusing for me, since it wasn't me dealing directly with the owner.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Did I make myself clear?
Yeah.
So do I just do I get an assignment of his option to me?
Yep.
And is that sufficient to allow me to be able to then bring my buyer to him? Because it's out of state, so I won't be able to be down there with him, or even I've never even met him, or even when my buyers go to him, I won't be down there.
Okay, so let's say that you trust the guy that he's not going to take your buyer. Let's say that that's a fact. And if you don't trust him, you've got some kind of non-circumvent agreement in place. The little house we talked about with Naomi, that little $5,000 house, what I did is took my contract and I I then assigned it to the girl that's buying it, who then assigned it to another investor, and who's paying cash. So you would do the exact same thing. You would not be in my position, first position. You're in that second position. So he would assign that option to you, and then you would assign that option to your end buyer, who would then you'd have a contract by then.
Right. So my assignment would be, well, he would assign it to me, and then my assignment to my end buyer would be a purchase and sale.
Correct. Somebody has got to exercise the option on that.
Right. Right. So he had sent me, and it didn't. I wasn't quite sure he may be as much of a novice at this as I am, and I suspected that because he sent me a blank option contract.
Okay.
Which didn't seem to be the right thing, and I think I determined, based on what you just described, that I need to get an assignment of his option to me, not a blank option agreement.
Well, he won't assign that option to you until you have a real deal. So you would have an option of his option. Now, how do I say that in different words? If it were down here, we would have a flex option with the other investor.
Right.
So he may be using an option instead of a flex option. You know, the flex option is just a little bit easier and less cumbersome than a real option.
Okay, I think I understand. So then I do need to fill out an option agreement with an agreed-on price that I would be buying it from him.
Correct.
And then once I have an end buyer or another, then I would then have him assign the agreement to me.
And then you would assign that agreement to your end buyer.
Okay, all right. Then I guess he's got it right. Then I'll make sure I take care of that.
Yep, perfect. Great, thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Mike, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to go ahead and mute you since you've got that background noise. Use those big words too, like ambient too. That was great. Well, I haven't used that since music school. Come on, that was good. Judy, you think this is funny, but see, I'm used to dealing with junior high kids. It's all good. My wife teaches junior high, and I get to talk in 6th grade. Hey, Victor, how are you doing? Do you have your microphone? Victor? Victor? Now, if Victor doesn't answer and I ask him if he has his microphone, that means what?
He doesn't have his microphone.
That means no. Yeah, that means no. Do you have your microphone? There's no answer. That means no. Can you please give me the hotline phone number if I have any questions? Anybody know the hotline number? I know the email is support@dodeals.com. So maybe, Gershom, if you have that, maybe you can type that in for us or Skype me or something. And we'll be glad to give that to you. Yeah, all you guys are asking for the hotline number. I don't know what the hotline number is. And Victor writes in his questions, I don't know if it's working. Victor, I know it's not working. Okay? All right? What else we have? Anybody have any other questions? Ron, your Magnolia Creek is correct. That's the one that's going to turn into a rental and not an owner financer. Oh, Gershom says 877-692-7347. That was neat. 692-7342. I'll say it again. 872. Yeah, well, I messed it up. Gershom, are you there? Gershom? 877-692-7342. Okay, anybody else need it? Kelly, this is a good question too. Anybody, can you guys read these questions or are they just on my side? Judy, can you guys see these questions?
No.
Kelly, I think you're unmuted. Go ahead and talk to us. Kelly Arneson. Kelly's question, when a realtor says he won't sign a flex but will pay us some commission, what do we do? Anybody know the answer?
What was it again?
If a realtor if a realtor won't sign a flex but says he will pay us some commission, what do we do?
Huh. I wonder about the terms, because since we aren't licensed, we need to be particular about terms, don't we, about what we call the payment. And I don't know if commission, is that only something that can be earned by a licensed
Yeah,
real
and
estate?
so that's exactly right. You got to be careful with the term commission or finder's fee. You want to invoice whoever it is for a release of equitable interest, and to do that you need to have the flex. But more times than not, if a realtor says they're going to pay us, then what we do is we bill them for management fees, release of equitable interest. We invoice them for something, and try to make it something that is a legitimate thing that you did, not a finder's fee or not a buyer's fee or not a negotiation fee. That makes you a real estate agent. So be careful with what you say with that. And they're watching those a little more closely. They being the federal government and the National Association of Realtors are watching those a little more closely now because there's quite a bit of fraud in the system. Yes, I did say the F word. There's quite a bit of trickery going on in the system right now. So just be careful what you call that. But I would invoice them at the end and make sure that if you're getting your money that way. Jeff Quigg is doing the same thing. Realtors are paying him as well, but the realtors are paying him through a mortgage company somehow. So he's invoicing the mortgage company somehow. Okay, yeah, try real hard not to call it a negotiation fee or something like that. I called it a home and determined it was another investor he had under option contract. Oh, Mike, I've already done that one. Okay, what else do we have? I think we've about got it.
I have at least one or two questions, Stan.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that R.C. mentioned that there was a property for about $170,000 or something, and then the due deals estimate was, I don't know, $160,000 or something. It was my understanding that for quick cash and a quick close, that we should be aiming for around 40% of the after repair value. So wouldn't 40% of, say, 170,000, and that'd be something like 80 something thousand dollars, and that is the point when I'm initially calling and talking to people, and a number of times they've said, well, make an offer, and the information that I was getting should be about 40% of the after repair value, but people just clam up. They just want to end the conversation, don't want to say another thing when they hear a price like that. So, but I've been afraid that if I come up with a higher price, then due deals would think that is too high. So I'm just rather confused about the money issue and the price, and just like if I don't know, just how do you deal with the money? And sometimes it simply is a money issue. One person I was talking to today, well, I had spoken to him about a month ago, and when I mentioned, well, what if we could only pay, and it was at the 40% range, and he, his tone of voice, it just he just totally shut down, and then when I called back today, about a month later, I discovered that he's very, very sick in the hospital, and with hospital bills, and sometimes it is the money, and it's And then what
Okay,
to do
so-
about that?
So let's try to figure this out. And each one of these are different. All right, so there's no general rule. I think 40% is a little low in my opinion. Probably what I would do is look at the area, and I would look at the house, and then come up with some kind of a reference number. The house that we sold for $5,000, the ARV on that's $50,000. So we offered them 10% and made the deal. So the 40% doesn't always work. For me, I think 60% is kind of the number I'm looking for, and I think that's you've got to kind of weigh a couple of things. If at 40%, how many people are you going to make mad at you, and how many people are you going to get the deal from? So let's look at a couple of things. Will Dinker is a investor here in town. He says make the most ridiculous low offer you can make and that you know will work, and it's a numbers game, and just go do it. Okay, and to some point I agree with that. To another point, I look at it as why would I want to put myself through all the negative vibes when I offer them 30 and 40%, and have people screaming at me and doing hanging up on me and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I try to do it. I look at it backwards, and honestly, I look at the numbers less and less the more I go. And I know that most people focus on the numbers. I know that. But let's say it's a $100,000 house. I'm going to offer you $40,000 for a $100,000 house. Gee, that's not going to work for me, And they clam up and they get mad at you, and and they don't talk to you anymore.
Yes.
So let's try to ask more questions, probe more deeply. Okay? If I could walk in there today and I could bring you cash, what's the least you'd take? Okay, now that's Tim's way of saying if I could bring you cash now and close quickly, what's the least you would take? And they're going to say, I want $80,000. If you know what they owe, and if they owe $79,900, then he's going to try to sell it for what he owes on it. That may be a really good price on that house. So then, do you have someone that could come in there and buy the house and get a loan for $80,000? If you do, you may be able to hook those two up and make the deal work. You see what I'm saying? If you don't, then you've got to get the house for a little less. And what I would do is get the flex option at 80, and then I would try to work my magic in the next few days to try to get the house down or to try to do some owner financing on it. So to me, it's less about the numbers, and that's honestly that's me, okay? But I think Kelly's right. These are predictable responses, and what we're doing is predicting. If you said to them, "Listen, your house is worth 100, and I can give you right now, today, I can write you a check right now for $50,000. Will you take it?" That's real different than saying, I may have somebody that will look at your house, and in a week or so, they should be able to bring you cash, maybe. And you see the difference in the tone of my voice. So if you had somebody that you had a $100,000 house, you knew the neighborhood. I know some neighborhoods in Spring that the foreclosures are going in the 40s. And these are $90,000 to $120,000 houses. So if I could come in there and say, listen, I'll give you a $100,000 house. I'm going to give you the foreclosure next door sold for $35,000, so the most I can give you is $37,500. Okay, but Kelly, I don't know that I would say you're probably not going to like it. I would probably say here's what the market is, and then let him think about it. Okay, but what you're doing, Judy, is you're in Boston and trying to talk to people in Houston, and that's a little trickier. So what I would want from you is to get the flex option back first. Okay, and then once you have the flex option back, then you could do what I did with Naomi and try to work her down a little bit. And to try to gain more trust, let somebody from here knock on the door and see if you can get some other things worked out with him.
So I could go up to 50 or 60% instead of the 40%.
Again, I don't think it's the numbers. I don't think it's
Okay.
the numbers. It's the situation.
Okay.
If I'm sitting here in my house in Spring, Texas,
Okay.
knowing that I have cancer and that I'm really needing to raise some money for my hospital bills and all that, I've got probably a $250,000 house. I owe 150 on it, so I've got $100,000 worth of equity. So, would I sell it for 200? Oh, I'd sell it in a second. Get $50,000 cash. Would I sell it for 150? I can't. I need that money.
Mm-hmm.
I need that money for my hospital. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
So I would want you to try to build trust. I would want you to try to build relationships. And then the money part of that will start to work its way clear as we start to unpeel the onion and know what's going on.
Okay. And so do deals wouldn't like turn us away if our flex option is for somewhat higher than, say, the 40%. That was what I was concerned about, that if I, say, turned in a seller's questionnaire with or a flex option that was higher than 40%, then do deals wouldn't want to do any work with me. But that wouldn't happen, you don't think?
Yeah, I don't know who this due deals is. Who is that?
Tim.
Oh, okay. So here's the pecking order in this is you send one of these, I want to JV things to Amy, or you send it to Gershom, and then they try to work a little bit on it, but then that usually ends up on either Tim's computer or mine.
Uh-huh.
And if it ends up on Tim's, it'll end up on mine next.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then he'll say, hey, can you work with these guys on this? And then
Okay.
so due deals is usually me.
Okay.
Okay. And then what I would do is say, let's look at I'm going to look at the numbers, and I'm going to look at the situation and go, I don't know that this is going to work. Let's let him cook for a while, but you keep following up with this guy. Do you have the flex option back? Yes, I
Okay.
have the flex option back.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's let this cook for a while and see.
Okay.
Go ahead and I would tell you let's go ahead and start marketing it. Let's see if we can get anybody interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
If we can't, then we know that the price is too high.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, but
Yeah.
but if you're trying to buy a house at 40%, then you're gonna have to go through a whole lot of no's before you
Yes,
get
exactly.
before you get to a yes. But when you get to a yes, you know it's a deal.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but
Okay. Yes.
but at the point that we all are, I personally am not at a point where I want to hear no every single time I make a phone call,
Uh-huh.
and so.
Yeah.
I will do a flex option and then try to work on them as time permits. Does that make sense? Because I don't like being told no very often.
Yes. Okay.
These
Great.
guys like it. They like it. They like messing with it. And
Yes.
they're thinking, if I get told no 100 times, then that's going to be one yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I've heard lots of no's, but that was with the 40% that I was told. Or
So-
that was suggested.
So you're trying to sell your condo, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, can I ask you how much you have on? You're asking for it?
About almost $260,000.
$260,000.
There have been 2 and even 3 showings a day, but no offers.
So if I could buy it from you for cash for $75,000, would you sell it to me right now?
No.
See?
Yeah.
So really, what is the number on your condo at 260 that you'd sell it?
I really want the 260,000 about. It just
So if I came in today and you could net out 230, would you sell it for 230?
Maybe if we could negotiate a little bit.
So see, now you're at maybe.
Yeah.
You see what I just did?
Yeah.
So at 80, you're no. And you may put the H word in front of that. Heck no. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where, Colleen and I were talking the other day on this house that we had. And it's like the house is worth 156. Well, yeah, but we've gone then from being the sharks to the seals. Does that make sense to you? We're now the motivated sellers.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on the other side of the table now. So that's where you are in your condo. You're the motivated seller. Think about that. Think about if you really needed to sell it and you were sick and you really needed to sell it, and somebody called you and said, I'll give you, for your $260,000 condo, I'll give you, the most I can give you is 104. And you're saying, well, you hadn't even seen the condo, you know, and your area code says Boston. What are you doing? So I would, if I were in your shoes, try to build more relationships.
Yes.
Try to build it so that you trust each other more. And then once you trust each other more, what I just did with you is said, listen, okay, let's do it. Let's do the flex option at 260. But I don't know that I can sell it for 260. So let's try it. Now we've shown it, you know, 10 times. We've shown it 3 or 4 times a day for a week. So it's shown 15 times, but no contract yet, which probably means it's a little expensive. So let's drop it down to what? What do you think? 245? Okay, 245, and then you may sell it at 245. Okay, see what I'm doing?
Yes, I like this approach much better.
Right. Then listen, I'll give you 80,000 for it right now.
Yeah.
Well, no, in Texas they'll probably pull out a shotgun and start chasing.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell me, what's the number that you just have to have? Judy, tell me your number. What do you really? I have to have this number.
I would say 250.
See, we just got you down 10,000. That's called negotiating. Okay. Now my question to you would be then, why don't you go ahead and drop it to 250 and sell it, or drop it to 255 and see what you can. 260 isn't working right now.
I don't know. People just might wait longer and longer to see how low it could go. So.
And that's what our market is nowadays. People are just waiting longer and longer to see where it's going to go, where it's going to end up. So what I try to do, and what I did today, is I just price it, that $156,000 house. We priced it owner financing at $134,000. So it's a $22,000 discount. And the reason I used 134 is the foreclosure next door sold for 129. The exact same house next door was 129 cash. So I'm thinking at owner finance we could probably get a little more for it. Okay, you guys see what I'm doing with that? See how, and you see the tone of voice I'm using with that? You've got to understand that the only thing that you have is your voice, and the only connection you have to people is your voice on the telephone. Now, if you're going to meet them in person and see that I'm wearing a nice green sweater, and it's a nice national brand, and I'm wearing nice slacks and all that, and my hair's combed, then that's different. Then we've got a different set of skills. But all I have right now is a telephone. Okay, so Judy, my house is worth about $250. Okay, so now do the call with me.
Oh dear.
Come on, Judy, you can do it.
Well, let's see. Stan, I understand you have a house for sale. And some people do ask a little bit to learn a little bit more about it, but others just say, let's see. Is your house, is it vacant, or is somebody living there?
Okay, let's start a different way. Judy, you've got a condo for sale, don't you?
Yes.
Tell me something about it, please.
Oh, I love it.
Hey, how come?
It's the most wonderful location. It is so convenient.
That's in Cambridge, isn't it?
Yes.
And how far away is that from downtown?
Well, Harvard University, Harvard Square is about a 5-minute walk. MIT is maybe half an hour from here or so, and you just walk a few minutes, and there are restaurants, there are all different sorts of stores, hardware, office supply stores, and just transportation to anything, and it just lectures, culture, just everything. It's great.
How far is that from like the Boston Pops? Where do they play?
The Boston Pops. Well, you would need to take the subway, and that would maybe be half an hour, 40 minutes. It really depends on how long it takes for the train to come.
Okay. And so how many bedrooms and baths and all that do you have?
There's one bedroom, let's see, no bath. Well, it has a shower. It's what you mentioned. And that has been a sticking point, that people want a bathtub. But I had, I'd called to see if some sort of bathtub could be put in the shower, but I was told that because, I don't know, the plumbing, the drainage, that it just wasn't possible to put a bathtub in the bottom of the shower stall. So.
Okay. And tell me about the kitchen.
The kitchen, it's a small, it's 660 square feet. Actually, is this going to be a waste of everybody's time?
No,
it's
almost
not a
8
waste o'clock.
Of time. No.
Well, let's see, it's 660 square feet, and the kitchen, I guess you'd sort of call it kind of a galley kitchen. It's, I think, a little bit bigger than that. And actually, Professor Henry Gates's house is right across the street, and I watched part of the arrest. He was on the porch with handcuffs on his hands, and I was dumbfounded. He looked like a very pleasant gentleman, but it is sort of a millionaire's neighborhood. There are houses across the street that have been sold for more than $1 million, and it's a quiet neighborhood. It's rather genteel, except for the one time that there was a fist fight out in the near the parking lot, and I happened to go and split it up. And amazingly, just surprising me, and there were like 3 other adults who they were just frozen in their tracks, and I was furious because I had fallen down and gotten my pants and coat muddy, and so I was coming home and just angry, and somebody, one of the frozen people, had whispered to me that there seemed to be something going on down there, and I was so angry that I just kept going. But then it was like a fist fight, and somebody was down on the ground, and the other person was pummeling them, and I was just so angry, and I yelled, "Stop, stop," and they stopped. And but other than that, it's a quiet, relatively safe neighborhood. The Harvard police, Harvard University police, as well as the Cambridge police, would be patrolling this area because it's the perimeter of Harvard University and the Cambridge area. And
right. So you don't see too many people from Fox News down in there, do you?
From who? From where?
Fox News.
Well, except for Professor Henry Gates, there were, yeah, there were lots of cameras and people out around that time.
So were you back there, one of those people jumping up and down waving? Were you one of those guys?
No, well, I just saw from my kitchen. I'd gone out to get some lunch or something, and something must have happened that caught my attention. Maybe raised voices or something. I looked up, and there were 9 police officers milling around the sidewalk and up on the porch, and Professor Gates was standing up there just looking totally dazed, like a deer in the headlights or something. So
right.
It was just, but anyways.
So why do you think your condo hadn't sold yet?
Oh, because, well, I'm living here and I have all my stuff here. Just one of the real estate mentors had said that he had sold his house to an investor when he thought it was the time to sell, and he was able to do it, but I've not been able to do it. It's been on the market since December, mid-December.
Right.
But and it started out, it was around 300,000. Zillow has it listed. Their Z estimate is about 295,000 something, and then we lowered it in January to like 279, and it was getting showings even at around the 300,000 mark, but nobody wants to buy, and so now it's 259.
So are you listed with the real estate agent?
Yes.
Okay. And if I could bring my buyers out there and I have cash buyers, if I could bring them out there and talk to your agent, what do you think would be your bottom line on it, so I could tell my buyers?
I guess $255,000.
So if I could bring you a contract tomorrow and close it by Monday or Tuesday of next week, 250 is the absolute bottom dollar. That's the lowest you could go. If I could bring you one for like 240 or 245, would that be acceptable?
I would say 250.
Okay. So I'm not a realtor. Can I talk to your realtor and send her some paperwork that'll let me bring my buyers? Would that be okay?
Yes, but it's an exclusive listing.
Okay.
So he would need to be paid.
Oh yeah, we're going to pay the realtor. We work with realtors all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. See how I did that?
Mhm.
So it's not about the money. It's not about the money at all. It's about the situation. It's about the neighborhood. It's about you. It's about everything else that we have going in our lives. It's not about your condo. Your condo's going to sell. We just don't know what the price it's going to sell at yet. We'll find that price eventually. Now, the trick is, do you want to find it today or later? You know, that's the trick. Okay, you guys see how
if I can do deals to, like, I initially came into do deals thinking, oh, 7 days to sell a house, that is for me, but it's not 7 days. It takes months.
Well, a lot of that is the individual skill that we all have. I mean, my phone has rung 3 times in the last 15 minutes. So see,
okay.
A lot of that. No, it's not. I'm not trying to leave. I'm saying that a lot of this is the individual skill we have in negotiating, and the individual way that we do this. So if I came straight to you and said you've got a $250,000 condo, listen, I'll give you I don't know, I'll give you $90,000 for it. Well, that's a definite no. And next, okay? So if I'm thinking that that's negotiating, then I'm probably thinking that that's not right.
Yes, and I all this time, for I don't know, a month or
right.
2 months or so, I was working on the 40%, thinking that was what we needed to do. But this sounds much more doable.
Well, what I'm asking is, and what I'm talking about is I really don't worry about the numbers. I don't worry. I really don't. Okay, and I really don't worry about what I'm getting paid. And that's really hard for us to understand, and at times it's really hard for me to say. But you know, it's especially hard for me when we haven't closed a deal in a couple of weeks, and my wife's going, "Hey, you got a car payment coming up here. You better get that deal closed."
Yeah.
And so, what I do is there's a couple of things I've done, okay? Thing number one, and the most important thing, is if I'm going to have Tim Mai as a mentor, then I'm going to have to do what he says, and I'm going to have to believe in what he does, or I need to not have him as my mentor. Okay, I need to find somebody else, okay? So let's go there first. And Judy, I do a lot of band clinics. Clinics are when you're mentoring young band directors. And I go into their little junior highs or their high school programs, and I say, listen, it'd be good if you did this, 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 and this. And then when I leave, they don't ever do that. So I charge them. Now this is dumb. I charge them $100 an hour. So I'm at a junior high school for 5 hours. I made $500, and it just comes out of my head, and I can organize that sound in a way that very few other people can do that. But I get in there, and they don't ever change. And so it really frustrates me to go do these clinics. Now, Now, I've got a person that's doing a clinic with me. His name's Tim Mai.
Mhm.
And he's saying, Stan, you need to do this, this, and this, and this.
Mhm.
And I go, no, I'm not going to do that, Tim. Well, that's stinking thinking. So he said today, he said, I mean, I've got you guys paused right now. Let me pull up his Skype and I'll show you what he's had me doing today. Okay. Let me unpause this. You guys can see. There's my Skype. Here's what Tim said to me today. Hey Stan, I'm going to give you all of my real estate courses, and I want you to have a goal of studying one topic or subtopic per week, and create a presentation for the Monday and Tuesday classes. And this will build on creating your own course for future seminars. Okay? So that's what he has going. All right, let me click this off because there's some other things in there. So now my choice is I can say no, I don't want to do that, or I can get after it, and I've got probably a year's worth of negotiating classes I'm going to do in the next month. But I'm learning so much more by doing it that way. So Tim says, don't worry about how much money you're making, just go close deals. And I'm going, Tim, I got to make some money or it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
All right? But I've gotten to the point where I don't worry about closing deals. I mean, I don't worry about the money. Let me show you the copy of my commitment. Here's my commitment form. We've been doing these for the last 2 weeks. Let's see if we can get this to pull up. This is mine, and on here we have some, whoever was on the call the other day, we went through and talked about them. Let me talk about me, okay? Tim has asked, will you exercise every day? And I said, yes. Will you read or listen to this negotiating short sale material every day? Yes, I will. Okay, so here's what I want to work on this week. This is my to-do list for the week. We're going to rent the Katy house. We're going to get a contract on Teaberry, Teal Brook. We're going to close Wind Trail, finish the title work on Bradworthy so it closes. Gilno River's got liens on it. It's either a yes or no. We need to get on with it, yes or no. Follow up with FMC and get these houses finished because I have contracts on them. So I have contracts on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 houses.
Wow.
Okay, that I've got to get closed. And if I get these closed, let's see, this one is 1,000. This one's about 2,500. That's 10. That one's about 1,000. That one's about 1,000. This one is 8,700. This one is about 5,000. This one's about 1,000, and this one's 30,000. So it's probably $100,000 worth of stuff, maybe 55,000. I don't know, $50,000 or $60,000 worth of stuff that I'd like to get done this week. So I quit worrying about it, and look what's happened to me. You see what I'm saying? I quit worrying about how much I'm making on each. I just want to close a bunch of them.
It worries me when you said about stinking thinking, like, oh, I can't do that. What Tim says to do, and yet when Tim said that the like should ask the seller, well, what if we can offer only, and then 40% of what the
right.
market value seems to be, and then they say no, they clam up, and I hear lots and lots of no's, and
okay, so let's do this.
So does that mean that I say that Tim is not my mentor anymore and find a different mentor?
No, it's different. It's just different. It's a different market. Let's do this. Let's use these words. I don't know that the market will support that, but let me send my little agreement out there and let's see. Let's see what will happen.
Huh, okay.
But I don't know that the market will support that right now.
Okay.
But let's try it. Okay? And then how about we do this together? I'm going to market it because I've got a team in the Philippines that will market this for us. And so let's go ahead and if you don't mind, I'm going to send you my little agreement. There's no catch. There's nothing in there for you at all other than if I sell your house, I'd like to get paid a little bit. And I'm not trying to get a listing. I'm not trying to get you to commit to anything. It's a non-committal forum for you, but legally it allows me to do this. So let's try this together. And if I can sell it, I'd like to sell it. I'd like to sell it for your price. If I can't, let's talk again on Friday and say, you know, we've worked real hard on it. It may be a little expensive, and then let's talk about how we can get your house sold. What do you think?
I love that approach. I love that approach, Stan.
Okay, and that's what we're doing. In that, if you've watched Live Deals TV, that the house I got back in Alvin, she wants $35,000. I'll tell you right now, it's too expensive. But if I'd gone into her, she's got a child with a special needs child that's in a wheelchair, and if I say to her, listen, the most you're going to get for your house is 15, so you need to just clam up and let's do it now and get it over with. Then the answer is going to be
no.
It's going to be H no. Heck no. This is what it's going to be. I know that.
If that was on the show this morning, I had a meeting at 10 o'clock, so I wasn't able to listen this morning.
Yeah, this one was on Friday. I did this one on Friday.
Okay. Huh.
But I don't know that may be a little high, but let's do this.
Okay.
Go ahead and send me some pictures. Let's get my little agreement back, and I'm going to try to market it.
Okay.
And then we'll talk again in the middle of the week, and then we'll have some discussion about it, and then maybe we can adjust the price, or maybe I'll have somebody that'll buy it. I just don't know. Let's try it that way. What do you think? And the answer is 99% of the time going to be okay. Let's try it.
Yes.
Okay. There's no commitment on your part at all. I don't want the listing. Let me give it a shot. And if I can sell it this week for your price, I'm at 35. I'm probably going to mark it up to like 36.5 or 37. I know that's not a lot of money, but we'll see. And we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yes.
The worst thing they can say is, well, no, that ain't going to work. But go to the next one. Okay, so I'm trying to work with them instead of trying to beat them up on the price.
Yes, exactly. I love that approach much better. Yeah.
Okay, but you know, everybody's a little different. Everybody's just a little different, and some of these people are going, you know what? I don't think I can do that 35. I really need to get that down to 20, and let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
But see, I'm a different kind of a person than some of these guys, and they're going to say, no, 40% is it, or 50% is it, and next. And they don't mind those. I don't like getting told no all the time.
Yeah.
And so it takes me a little longer. Okay, it takes me a little longer. That's all right.
Okay.
I still get to the end. Okay?
Yes. Thank
That's
you.
what I would do. I would try that. I would try that.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And the worst thing that can happen is I don't get the flex option back.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already there now anyway.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you
Okay.
very much. Yes.
Yeah, so give that a shot. See if that helps for you.
Thank you so much.
And then Skype me during the week and we'll talk about it.
Yes, thank you.
But make your Skype shorter. I can't read that far. If it was a video, it'd be better. If there's a game, it'd be way better. If a video game, I could do the whole thing.
Okay.
But,
Thank you.
yeah, if I've got to read it, I'm out.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So how about your condo? Can we get the price a little lower and sell it?
Oh, I'm still. If I can just do enough deals with do deals, then I would prefer to just stay here.
Yeah, one time, guys, I had a BPO that came back, and it said, this is a really nice house, with the exception of the occasional murder and the drug deals, it's a great place. So that sounds like your place, with the exception of the guy getting arrested across the street and the fights in the alley, it's a great place. It's $1 million place. They all go to Harvard. Only Harvard live there.
Hey Stan, that was real nice work. There's a lot in that today. I'm going to have to go back and listen to it because I like that philosophical approach that you've got.
It's just different, and it works for me. I mean, I've got some deals going. They work for me. So
yeah,
okay, guys. Well, I need to bug out. I've got some work I've got to do. Okay.
Oh, Stan, I've just got one. I've got one question.
Yep.
I've had this guy phone me.
I would tell him you're married.
Naughty. Now this fellow is from a rural township on the east coast of New Zealand. Now, that's like the last bastion of the Roman Empire. Houses there often don't have electricity, don't have running water. They are so far from civilization, you know, the next city's a long way away. Now, he's in a small rural industrial town where unemployment is how most people get paid. Now, he's gone to the mines in Australia to try and earn his fortune, as people from there do, unless they're drug lords, and or milking the social welfare system. Anyway, I got an email from him saying his tenants have trashed his house, kicked over the water tank because you're not on town water supply, you've got to get your own water off the roof. And he wants $120,000 for it. I haven't done a report on the area. He said he owes $60,000 on the mortgage. Now, given the repairs, given the location, given it's so rural, I'm really not sure it's going to be worth anything more than what he owes on it.
Right.
So, you know, people ride horses to school here. You know, people ride horses anyway, and beat up trucks with no licenses. You know.
Right.
So some investors might be interested in it. You know, the rents are going to be low, the purchase price is going to be low, so maybe someone will rent it. But it's a rough part of the world.
So the question is?
I could send him a flex option, and I could talk to him about it's not going to realistically be worth more than what he owes on it, and maybe not even that.
Okay, now how do you tell him to go to hell and he doesn't know it?
Yeah. Just to say.
That's what you want to do is instead of saying, you know, dude, you got people riding horses to school there. Yeah. What I would do is I would say, listen, I know people that live in Boston that would love to study here. They will pay a mint for this place. No, so so you need to say it in a way, you know it's a little rough out there, right? Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of, it's not, it's not exactly Auckland, you know? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's going to be kind of a trick to find a renter that's going to want to hitch his ride up there and his pony up there. I know that. So how much are you really looking to get out of that beyond what you owe on it? Well, I'd like to net out $60,000. Well, yeah, we'd like to not have, a national debt either, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Let's just say, the economy's going to be, I don't know the economy's going to let us do that. So what do you think about what you owe on it? You just have to have.
Yeah.
That's where I would go with it.
Yeah. Okie dokie, I'll have a crack.
And then
Words of gold.
Do a flex option on it, and honestly, I would probably send that to, the university types, and see if you can get some professor guy that wants to come rough it for a while.
Look, we had an interesting court case last year where a number of the locals donned rifles and horses and went into the mountains and declared themselves an independent country from the rest of the country. So, there's a little bit of romance there for the lefty intellectual type, so it might not be a bad idea.
Sounds like Texas.
So, exactly.
Yeah, so that's, find a way to get his price down without him knowing.
Okay, I'll have a go. Thank you very much for that encouragement.
All right, guys, we'll see you the next week, okay?
Thank you, Stan, for that encouragement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. We'll see you. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Very good, Tom. Very good.